All right, today we're jumping into a book that, a lot of people think is just one big war story. I'm talking about the Book of Joshua. But what if I told you there's so much more going on beneath the surface?
Yeah, what is the Book of Joshua really about? I mean, is the common take on it missing the point? Let's dig in and figure out what's at the heart of this thing. When you hear Book of Joshua, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably battles, conquest, and of course, the walls of Jericho tumbling down, right? It feels like a pretty straightforward war chronicle. But is that really the whole story? Is it just a logbook of a military campaign, or was the author trying to tell us something much, much bigger? So let's go beyond the battles. If we do that, we can start to see what the author was really trying to get across. And a scholar named Dr. David Howard gives us a huge clue here. He says the book isn't just history, it's what he calls an interpretive history. Basically, it's history told through a very specific lens. Think about it like this. The author isn't just a reporter, writing down every little thing that happened. Nope, they're more like a movie director, pointing the camera at certain things and leaving other stuff out, all to tell a very specific theological story. Okay, so if the author's a director with a camera lens, what's the shot they're trying to get? What's the one big idea that makes the whole book make sense? Well, here it is. This one sentence. This is the key that unlocks the whole thing. God is giving the promised land of Canaan to his people Israel as an inheritance. And what's so cool is that Dr. Howard points out, this isn't some idea we're forcing onto the book. It actually bubbles up right from the text itself. That sentence is packed with meaning, though. So to really get it, we've got to unpack it, word by word. Okay, first up, God. He's the real hero of the story, the main actor, not Joshua. Then the word giving. This is huge. The land is a gift, not just something they conquered. Next, it's the promised land. This isn't random. It's the fulfillment of a promise made way back to Abraham. It's for his people, which puts the spotlight on that special relationship between God and Israel. And finally, the whole thing is called an inheritance. That word implies a secure, permanent possession given by God. So everything that happens, crossing the river, all the battles, even dividing up the land, it's all part of them receiving this inheritance.
Now, holding up that main theme are 7 other big ideas that really flesh out the story. You'll see these 7 themes pop up again and again all throughout the book. They're like the building blocks of the whole narrative. So you've got the land, which is central, God's promises being kept, the covenant that binds them, the absolute importance of obedience, the need for purity of worship, what godly leadership looks like, and the final goal, which is rest. We don't have time to go deep on all 7 right now, but let's zoom in on one that's a real game changer: obedience. And the author makes this point so brilliantly by showing us 2 very different generations. You've got the wilderness generation, right? Their story was all about rebellion, always challenging leadership, and what happened? They failed to enter the land. But then you get to Joshua's generation, and the author paints a totally different picture. They're known for their obedience. They follow the Lord, and because of that, they succeed. See that stark contrast? That's the author making a massive theological point. So when you start putting all these pieces together, it completely changes how you see the book of Joshua. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. And just like Dr. Howard says, once you grab onto that main theme, that God is giving them the land as an inheritance, suddenly everything else just clicks. Every single part of the book, from the battles to the boundary lines, it all points right back to that one big idea. So at the end of the day, the book of Joshua isn't just a war chronicle. Not at all. It's this incredibly crafted theological story about God's faithfulness, about how he keeps his promises, and about why obedience matters so much. And that really leaves us with something to chew on, doesn't it? How much does knowing an author's real purpose change the way you read their story? It's a great question to ask no matter what you're reading.